Hi, Todd Martin here with the Walking Code. I have a great video for you today. This video is going to be a combination exercise and walking technique video covering the basics of how to walk effectively with very minimal heel strike and how to keep the spine completely elevated, how to keep the pelvis tucked, and how to really work the muscles properly so you have the most effective gait possible. What we're going to do in this video is use a pole or a door or something that you can put your hand against in order to practice the movement. I've done a lot of other walking videos, but I have not used a prop that allows me to keep balanced in the air during the swing phase of the gait. And so that's what we're going to do today, is use the prop of this pole to help keep myself balanced during the swing phase of gait, so we can really examine what's happening with each phase of the gait as we go. This is an exercise, so I do want you to at some point do this with me so you can practice. What we're going to start out with is just a standing position with your feet together. Make sure they are lined up straight forward, heels together, pelvis tucked under, not tilted forward or back, shoulders back and down with your hands facing the outside of your thighs, and head elevated up, eyes gazed forward. Side view. Feet facing forward, pelvis tucked, shoulders back and down, palms at the side, head up, eyes gazing forward. This is going to be our starting position. Phase 1 of the exercise. Place your right hand against the pole, just with a light touch. Keep your posture vertical, pelvis tucked under, shoulders back and down, head up and gazing forward. All of the weight centered between the 2 feet. And to begin phase 1, we're going to shift the weight to the right leg, removing all of the weight from the left leg. In this position, I have a flexed left hip. I have a tucked lower abs on the right, using my right lower abdominal muscles to tuck the pelvis and rotate the pelvis. And I have forward rotation from the upper part of the core in the abdomen around the rib cage, which is going to be increasing the contact with the right hand against the pole. What we're going to do first is look at the very first phase of taking a step, and that is changing weight to the standing leg. When we're standing on 2 feet, we're going to transfer weight to the leg that we plan on using as the stance leg when we step off. So for this exercise, I'm going to use my right leg as the stance leg, and I'm going to begin standing just a little bit, maybe a foot behind the pole or the door, or whatever you are using, just enough so you can take a bent elbow and place it against the door, barely touching it, but not pressing into the door or the pole or whatever you're going to use. So take this position, side view, bent elbow, just barely touching and keeping the feet facing straight forward with very good posture. Step 1 of the exercise is going to be the change of weight. During the change of weight, what we're going to do is shift all of your weight from the left leg to the right leg, and you should feel the weight shift from the flat of your foot towards the ball of your right foot. So if both of your feet are on the ground, equally weighted with your spine between the 2 feet, you should initially feel your weight equally distributed between the whole foot. As we shift weight to the right leg, the weight should shift forward towards the ball of the foot. And when you do that, you should feel your right hand gain more contact with the pole or the door. And then shift back to your center between the 2 feet. You'll feel the hand retract from the door a little bit, and then practice shifting weight back and forth, shifting towards the ball of the foot as you change weight, shifting back towards the midfoot as you go back to a 2-footed stance. This is going to help you practice that weight changing effect. We have to use our core properly. When we're changing weight, the side of the leg we're going to be standing on, the upper abdominal muscles are going to be rotating forward on that side as you change weight. That is what's going to shift your weight from midfoot to the forefoot by the time you transfer your weight. So by the time my weight is from middle all the way to my right leg, I'm going to have a slight forward shift. I should feel the weight towards the ball flat position of my foot, and I should feel my right hand come into further contact with the pole. Not pushing against it, but in more direct contact. As you shift back, you should notice the contact become much lighter. And that's because of the rotation of the upper core muscles. When we're standing flat, my weight is going to be on technically my left leg. So my left side of the upper abdomen is forward. My right side of the upper abdomen is, relatively speaking, back, because we're always moving in a rotational fashion. So I'm either forward on the left or forward on the right. Forward on the left or forward on the right. When I go from forward on the right to forward on the left, you can see that the right side retracts backwards by eliminating that forward movement. When I go back to forward on the right, the left side retracts. So only one side is forward at a time. If I were to move forward on the left and move forward on the right without retracting the left, you will notice that you will pitch forward, and that is not what we want to do when we're trying to keep proper posture. One side forward at a time. You can practice with this rotational movement here with the arms circled in front of your chest. One side forward at a time. Left side forward, right side forward. Left side forward, right side forward. With the upper abdominal muscles controlling the chest rotation, we keep a constant circle going. And so when we're going to take a step, our circle is going to be forward on the opposite side of the leg that we plan on standing on when we take that step. So if I plan on stepping off with my left leg, swinging through with the left leg, my weight is going to initially be on the left leg, and then I'm going to transfer the weight to the right leg, and therefore at the same time I'm going to transfer that forward energy on the left upper core to forward on the right upper core. As you do that, you should feel more contact come into the pole as that weight shifts. When you shift back to the left leg, now basically stand back up to a full stance position on the left leg. Now the weight is going to retract, and now I'm back forward on the left side, relatively back on the right side, so just touching the pole with very little contact. Shift forward as you change your weight to the right. Shift back to the midfoot as you shift back so your weight's centered. Shift back to the standing position. Shift forward to the weighted leg. Shift back to the standing position. From the side view again, keeping the elbow relaxed, just touching the pole. Weight in the middle, but I'm rooted on my left leg. As I transfer to the right leg, slight forward shift and more connection to the pole. For phase 2 of the step, I'm going to lift forward with my right hip pulling forward, pulling the body forward, and then now I am pressing against the pole, supporting my weight as my left leg swings through because of the rotation of the pelvis, which is generated from my lower abdominal muscles. My upper abdominal muscles are keeping the body oriented in a forward-facing fashion as my lower abdominal muscles turn or swing the pelvis around towards the right. At this phase of the step, my right heel is still on the ground. My left heel is hovering in the air. For part 2 of the exercise, we're going to execute the swing through phase of the step. And so by executing the swing phase of the step, first we have to change weight. All of my weight is now on the right leg. The ball of my left foot is touching the ground, but with no weight on it. And my right arm has shifted slightly forward towards the pole, getting full contact because my right upper core is activated. At the same time, I'm activating my right lower core, or the lower abdominal muscles. Those are going to be tucking the pelvis on the right side and also rotating the pelvis towards the right leg. So in this case, rotating the pelvis in a clockwise fashion. But my left ball of the foot is still in contact with the ground. This is the core technique of set. I have counterclockwise rotation of my upper core. I have clockwise rotation of my lower core, or lower abdominal muscles, which at the same time are rooting my right leg and tucking the pelvis on the right. And I am flexing my left hip. This is the core technique of set. I use the term set because we're settling the weight on one leg here. Now for the swing through, what I'm going to do is continue my same core rotation, rotating forward with my upper core on the right, rotating backwards or posterior with the lower core on the right, tucking the pelvis on the right. What I'm going to do is transfer my hip energy from flexion of my left hip to flexion of my right hip, meaning I'm going to pull forward. That's the feeling that you should have, one of pulling forward with your right knee. So this would be the equivalent of lifting up my right leg, but since all my weight is on it, obviously the leg is not going to lift off the ground. So what we're going to feel is trying to lift forward with the leg, and it's going to pull the body forward as you do that. And that is going to execute the beginning and mid section of the swing phase of the gait. From the side view, we have the change of weight, and then we begin the swing through by lifting forward with my right hip. So I feel like I'm pulling my knee forward, and when you do this, you should feel much more engagement of your hand against the pole in a pressing type fashion. So I'm actively pressing against the pole, not pushing. You notice if you push against the pole, you'll push yourself back. We are lifting ourselves forward against the pole, so a equilibrium type of energy we have pressing against the pole but not pushing us backwards. The difference between pressing and pushing is that I am lifting forward from my leg. I'm not pushing back with my leg. If I use my glutes to push back with the leg and practice that, you will fall forwards. That is a common mistake when people are walking, is trying to push off with the glutes rather than lift yourself forward. So as part of this exercise, we are practicing transferring weight and then lifting yourself forward. My left leg is going to swing forward with the heel hovering off the ground as I do this. So find this position. I should feel forward energy from my right upper core. I should feel active tucking coming from my lower abs. So really tuck your lower abs on the right to keep your pelvis lined up, not tilted like that forward or not tilted backwards. I'm nice and vertical because of that tuck of the pelvis. And my left leg is swinging forward, and this is an important part of this. It's not swinging forward because I'm lifting my hip. It's swinging forward because the pelvis is rotating from the lower abs. The lower abs are rotating my pelvis from left to right, and then that rotation of the pelvis is what is swinging the leg forward. As I rotate the pelvis, swinging that leg around, it's the upper core rotation that then lines that body up in a straight line so we continue to move straight. So we have a combination of pelvic rotation going to the right, coming from the lower abs, and upper torso or chest rotation going to the left from the upper abs, and that effectively lines the body up. So practice that motion of shifting weight and then lifting forward, and feel that pelvic rotation coming as you rotate your belly button to the right. Practice that. Take the belly button, turn it to the right as much as you can while lifting forward with your right leg and turning forward with your right upper core, pressing your hand against the pole. You should find this balanced position. Left leg, heel floating off the ground. This is a good stabilizing exercise. You're working that gluteus medius on the side of your butt here to keep that balanced position. You're working your hip flexors and you're working your abdominal core muscles. Phase 3 of the step is going to be rotation of my upper core to bring my left heel down and bring my right heel slightly up. So we find this position, and then now for part 3 of the exercise, or the third phase of the gait, we are going to do the initial contact with the left heel. This is another really important part of gait because it's how we place our heel very softly with no impact. And this is a very subtle motion that is not coming from our hips. It's coming from the upper part of the core. So we get to the swing through phase. My upper core is turning forward on the right, pressing against the pole. In order to place my heel, what I'm going to do is rotate the left upper core forward, which is going to bring the right upper core back, and that's going to place the heel on the ground, just touching it down, and that is the end of that phase of the movement. Again, from the swing through, pressing against the pole, turn your left side of the upper core, your left rib cage, forward slightly, and that's going to bring your heel down to the ground, and it's going to release some of the energy pressing against the pole because your right upper core is now going to be moving relatively backwards. From a front view, we change our weight, we swing through, and then I'm going to turn the upper part of the core until my heel touches the ground. That was a very small movement. You can now practice going back and forth by turning your upper core on the right forward to push yourself back, and this is actually going to press yourself back into the swing through position, and then touch down again by rotating the upper core forward on the left, shift back by rotating the upper core forward on the right. As you turn the upper core forward on the right, it goes back on the left, shifting your weight back. Heels off the ground, rotate forward to place it. As you rotate forward, you're going to notice your right arm or hand move back from the pole and your left hand start to move forward slightly. This is going to be the beginning of the next step. And as we begin the next step, we're going to start the cycle all over again. Change of weight, swing through, pressing against the pole, rotate forward on the left to bring the heel down, and then now the cycle starts all over again with the change of weight to my left leg. So I'm already lifting forward or flexing my right hip. I'm already now turning forward on the left. So to change weight to my left leg, all I have to do now is activate the lower abs on the left and deactivate the lower abs on the right. And that is going to shift my weight over to my left leg and pull the body forward. This is one of the keys. We should feel as we're changing weight like we're pulling the body forward, not pushing the body forward. I'm pulling the body forward from my left side core, not pushing from my right side. Pushing from the right side is going to cause you to pitch over when you walk. It's also going to cause a lot of heavy impact on the heel. So the heel touches the ground, and then we tuck the pelvis by activating the lower abs on the left to pull the body forward. From the front view, heel touch, tuck the pelvis to shift the weight forward, pulling the body forward. I've released the tuck on the right, which starts that right leg pulling forward. The other part to watch in phase 3 of the step, where we bring our heel down, is at the same time that the left heel is going to be coming down, you should feel your right heel lift off the ground. This is the heel lift phase of the step. From the swing through, I'm going to rotate the core to bring the heel down, and at the same time, my right heel is going to lift from the ground. From the side view, we have our swing phase, and then I'm going to bring the left heel down by rotating the upper torso, and at the same time my right heel is going to lift. During the second phase, or the swing phase of the step, my heel is flat on the ground, the right heel. As I rotate and bring the left heel down, the right heel comes up. Then I tuck the pelvis and swing through. Shift weight, swing through, rotate to bring the heel down, then tuck the pelvis. As you tuck the pelvis to take the next step, your right arm will completely release from the pole, because now there's no forward energy on the right side at all. It's all moving forward on the left as you plan to take a step forward on the left leg, swinging the right leg forward. Practice again from phase 1 of the step. Change weight, bringing your hand against the pole, shifting your weight towards the ball of the foot. Phase 2 of the step, the swing through. Lift forward from your right hip, now pressing against the pole with your right hand. Left leg should be swinging forward with the heel just off the ground. Phase 3 of the step, rotate to bring the heel down. The root is still on the rear leg at this point in time. Then we begin phase 1 of the next step, changing weight by taking the root onto the left leg by tucking the lower abs on the left. Now we've released from the pole completely, and we're ready to continue walking in a forward fashion. This exercise is really going to help you find those positions and find those core movements that are essential to effective movement. At each point in time, each phase of the step, you want to be aware of how your upper core is rotating from the top of your rib cage, how your lower core is rotating using your lower abs, and then how you are activating your hip joints. We can activate our hip joints by flexing a swing leg hip, but we can also activate our hip joint by flexing our standing leg hip, and that is what we are doing for the swing through. This is a little bit counterintuitive because you see your leg extend behind the body during the swing through, but it really is not a large extension. I'm not extending my hip in this way. The leg is extending behind the body because I am rotating and then keeping the body forward. It's the rotation that makes it appear like I am extending my leg out behind the body. But it's really the rotational movement, not a extension of the hip movement, that is causing that forward swing.